If I speak into my microphone right now, then my voice will be recorded. If I talk ever, then everyone will listen. Well, maybe not. But what I did give just now are two examples of if statements in the real world. But we're going to take a look at what if statements mean in terms of programming. So what I have here is a simple program featuring an if statement that will get different things to happen depending on what I, as the user, type in when the program is run. So an if statement, to put it simply, is lines of code that will get the program to behave in different ways depending on what conditions are met. So depending on what is typed in, something will happen differently afterwards. So let's take a look at this example right here. It says, please enter a temperature to set the heat to, or thermostat, or whatever you'd like to call it. I'm referring specifically to heat though. Heat equals text window.read. So the user will input a number to set the heat to. Here is the if statement right here. So what we say on this first line is if heat is greater than 75. So if the person types in a number greater than 75, then, and now we are going to display a line in the text window saying that's warm. But what do we have right here? We have something that says else if. That's the code we need to type in for another part of our if statement. So we don't want to just type in if again. We're typing in the else before the if to indicate that this is the second part of this if statement. So it falls within this. We don't want to start a new if statement. This is the second part of the one we are currently working with. So we have else if heat is less than 75. So if the heat is set to less than 75, then, and now we display another line in the text window saying that's just right. So I'm going to run this program and we're going to see if it displays those two messages correctly. Please enter a temperature to set the heat to. I'll say 80. Press enter. That's warm. The program has ended. Or program has ended. That worked. Now I'm going to run it again. I'll enter 70. That's just right. Program is ended. Of course, with the way it's set up here, I could enter 0 and it would still say that's just right. But in order to fix that, we'd have to develop a more complex program. And we're just keeping it simple right now. So I'm going to go back and we can analyze really quickly once again what I just did and what I can do to maybe make it a little better. So these are the essential parts of an if statement. We start off with the word if, specify our first condition, so if heat is set to greater than 75, we need the then, so we need to have all of these parts exactly as they are. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you skip spaces here and there, like I don't think it really matters if we skip spaces here. I just like to keep it easier to read. But we always have to end an if statement with this line, end if. If we don't do that, then the program doesn't know that the if statement is supposed to end. Even though we do, the program doesn't, and then it specifies an error. I was expecting to see end if after this. Well, how about that? And we won't even be able to run the program because it's just messed up. End if. Capitalization doesn't seem to matter in this case, so take it or leave it. I'm really picky, so I like to have it. I like it to be consistent. I don't like to use capitals in some places and not others, but that's just me. So anyway, actually, you know what? Let's see what happens if we type in exactly 75. Nothing. That's because we have two conditions. One is if heat is greater than 75 and one is less than. But you know what? I want 75 to be able to work, so I'm just going to type an equal sign, and this is going to mean if heat is greater than or equal to 75, then it will say that's warm. Okay. And that is perhaps the simplest example of an if statement. We can have multiple else ifs. We can have as many as necessary. You just have to have something happen underneath. You have to have something in the text window. I won't do the whole thing. But you have to have something like this, or you can change the text color, the foreground color or background color if something else happens. And yeah, we can just keep on going. But one more thing we can do, actually this is even simpler than that, if I just type in else right here. Else by itself means if any other condition is true. So if any condition other than the one stated up here is true, then I'll just copy and paste this line. Then I'll just say that's cold. So if I type in any number lower than 75, it's going to say that's cold. 74, that's cold. So writing else would actually be the same thing as writing else if heat is less than 75, then is the exact same result. Sometimes there are shorter ways of writing a program, and actually in the world of programming, that's preferred. In general, you want to keep your code as short and as simple as possible, much like this video. And this is the type of thing we'll be working with next, an if statement. And that is all for today.